Welcome back to Movies on the Brain. I'm Jason, and today we're celebrating the life and legacy of a rock and roll trailblazer with La Bamba, directed by Luis Valdez and starring Lou Diamond Phillips, Isai Morales, Rosanna De Soto, and Elizabeth Pena. This biographical drama tells the story of Richie Valens, his rise from humble beginnings to musical stardom, and the struggles and triumphs that came with it. It's vibrant, emotional, and steeped in both the rhythm of family and the power of music. Let's dive into La Bamba and see how it captures the spirit of a legend gone too soon. Bamba opened in theaters on July 24th, 1987 with a budget of $6.5 million. During its 13-week domestic theatrical run, it earned a total of $54.2 million. There are no numbers on how it did internationally, if it even got an international release. Its opening weekend saw it earn $5.6 million, finishing number 5 in the box office, behind the likes of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, Summer School, the 1987 re-release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and RoboCop, numbers 4 through 1 respectively, with Superman 4 and Summer School also opening the same weekend. Its final week at theaters saw it earn $947,773, finishing its box office run at number 12. During the summer of 1957 in Southern California, Richie Steven Valenzuela is a 16-year-old Mexican-American boy who lives with his mother, Concepcion Connie Valenzuela, and his younger brothers and sisters. His family is poor and he works as a farmhand after school. He loves rock and roll music and dreams of becoming a rock star. Richie suffers from aviophobia due to reoccurring nightmares about a mid-air collision that occurred directly over a school in which his best friend was crushed to death by the fallen aircraft. One day, Richie's troubled half-brother Bob Morales arrives after being released from jail, prizing him and his mother. They all decide to leave the farm and move to a house in Southern California, along with Bob's girlfriend, Rosie. 3 months later, Richie attends San Fernando High School, where he falls in love with his classmate, Donna Ludwig, and joins his friend Chino's band, the Silhouettes. Bob becomes an alcoholic and starts to abuse Rosie. When he learns that she is pregnant, he refuses to take responsibility. Richie invites Donna to a garage party where he and the Silhouettes are performing, but he doesn't get his turn to sing, and Donna does not attend. Richie decides to host another party and becomes the Silhouettes' new leader after they vote out the original leader. However, a drunken Bob crashes the party and starts a brawl among the attendees. The next day, Bob Keane, the owner and president of Delphi Records in Hollywood, auditions Richie after seeing him perform at the party and assigns him to his label. Keane becomes his record producer and manager. Richie and Donna become a couple, despite Donna's father disapproving of her daughter dating a Hispanic boy. And Richie starts recording songs like We Belong Together and Come On Let's Go at Gold Star Studios. Keane gives Richie his professional name of Richie Valens, which Richie initially dislikes, but eventually comes to accept. Richie starts releasing his songs on radio and becomes an overnight sensation. Despite his increasing fame, Richie's relationship with Donna suffers, with her father refusing to let Richie see her. He then writes the song Donna as a tribute to her. One night, Bob meets up with Richie and they go to Tijuana, Mexico. At a brothel, Richie sees a band performing a traditional Mexican folk song called La Bamba. He awakens the next day in a small village and is given a talisman by a local curandero to protect him from his fear of flying. Richie and Bob return home to discover that Rosie gave birth to a girl in their absence. Richie soon decides to make a rock and roll rendition of La Bamba as a single to go along with Donna and convinces Keane to release it. At first, Richie avoids flying to his concerts and appearances, but eventually conquers his fear when invited to perform his song Donna on American Bandstand in Philadelphia. Keane helps him by giving him a little vodka to calm his nerves during the flight. As Bob becomes more envious of Richie's success, Richie buys his family a brand new house and goes to New York City to perform at Alan Freed's first anniversary rock and roll show at the Brooklyn Paramount Theater, meeting musicians Eddie Cochran and Jackie Wilson backstage. He then goes on stage to perform La Bamba to the crowd's adoration. Arriving home for Christmas, he is given a welcoming party by his family and friends, but Bob is resentful and later starts a fight with Richie, breaking his talisman in the process. Richie promises Donna that he will always love her and hopes that one day they will get married. Richie joins the Winter Dance Party tour alongside Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper after La Bamba and Donna reach the top of the Billboard charts. While performing in Clear Lake, Iowa at the Surf Ballroom, the tour bus's heating system breaks down, so Buddy charters an airplane to fly to the next stop in Moorhead, Minnesota. Richie, Buddy, and the Big Bopper take off in the airplane during a snowstorm on February 2nd, 1959. Before the flight, Richie makes a call to his brother, wherein they resolve their differences. He invites Bob to fly out to Chicago to join the tour for family support, which Bob accepts. The next day, as Bob is fixing his mom's car, he hears on the radio that Richie, Buddy, and the Big Bopper's airplane had crashed, killing everyone on board. Bob darts out of his driveway in an attempt to get to his mother before she hears the news, but it is too late. The news hits the Valenzuela family, Bob Keane, and Donna very hard. After Richie's funeral procession at the San Fernando Mission Cemetery, Bob walks across a bridge and screams out Richie's name, remembering all the good times they had together. Now let's look at the cast and some of their other roles they've had. Lou Diamond Phillips as Richie Valens. Other roles for Lou Diamond Phillips include Cisco in The Big Hit, Don Lucho in The 33, and Wanda in Hollywood Homicide. Isai Morales as Roberto Bob Morales. Other roles for Isai Morales include Abe in Cottonmouth, Slade Wilson in the TV show Titans, and Wes in Cherry. Rosanna DeSoto as Connie Valenzuela. Other roles for Rosanna DeSoto include Fabiola Escalante in Stand and Deliver, Elaine in Family Business, and Manuela in Jackals. Elizabeth Pena as Rosie Morales. Other roles for Elizabeth Pena include Mirage in The Incredibles, Martha in Seven Girlfriends, and Johnson in Rush Hour. Danielle von Zernick as Donna Ludwig. Other roles for Danielle von Zernick include Virginia in Deuce Coupe, Michelle West in Dangerous Curves, and Allie in Under the Boardwalk. Joe Pantoliano as Bob Keane. Other roles for Joe Pantoliano include Teddy in Memento, Cypher in The Matrix, and Goose in Racing Stripes. Rick Dees as Ted Quillen. The only other notable role Rick Dees has had is Gordon in Record City. Stephen Lee as the Big Bopper. Before his passing in August of 2014, other roles for Stephen Lee include Sergeant Schneider in War Games, Tony B in the TV show Nash Bridges, and Duffy in RoboCop 1 and 2. Sam Anderson as Mr. Ludwig. Other roles for Sam Anderson include Principal in Forrest Gump, Mr. Hyde in Water for Elephants, and Charles Patton in Slackers. Starting off the film with a nightmare from Richie's childhood, the way they did it is an interesting way to start the film because we don't know exactly what we're looking at. Roberto looks so cool on that gorgeous Indian motorcycle. Isai Morales, without having said a word, is already crushing it. I love the chemistry between Lou Diamond Phillips and Isai Morales, and the chemistry between Rosanna DeSoto and both Lou Diamond Phillips and Isai Morales. They really do feel like they're a family. It's not very often that I like time jumps in movies, but a 3-month time jump isn't bad, especially knowing Richie, Connie, and Rosie all got out of that settlement they were living in at the start. Danielle von Zernick and Lou Diamond Phillips have incredible chemistry just from their first scene together in school. That nervous energy between the two of them is great. It's a shame Roberto is back to his old ways, but the way Isai Morales plays it is absolutely excellent. The audition is where we get our first glimpse of what Richie Valens is capable of, and I love how each of the band members slowly join in on the performance. That entire argument between Rosie and Roberto was so well written and so well shot. Both Elizabeth Pena and Eastside Morales were fantastic during the scene, to the point where it was almost uncomfortable, which it's supposed to feel that way. I do like that we get a bit of comedy between Roberto and Richie when Roberto is drunk and needs a place to sleep since him and Rosie fighting. It eases the tension from the previous scene with Connie being mad at Richie. Richie didn't sing at the garage party. I absolutely loved that the first performance from Richie in the bar with Roberto on drums. It was great seeing Noble William, which admittedly I had to look up his name, but I did recognize the face and the voice. Richie Valens performing at the American Legion and Roberto coming in and being a disruption while drunk really shows the difference in the characters. Roberto trying to be a fun-loving guy, but in reality being a nuisance, and Richie trying to maintain a professional demeanor on stage. I really love the chaos of the fight scene in the American Legion. It shows the real character of Richie defending his brother, even though it ruins the spotlight. Donna being honest that her dad is the reason she's been avoiding Richie is such a grounded scene, and it makes it feel real to anyone who's been in a relationship where their dad didn't want you to see them. I like the montage of the few things happening during the first recording session with Bob Keane and Richie, showing Donna's and Richie's relationship grow and Roberto finding that art is his passion. Richie telling Donna about the nightmare we've seen interspliced throughout the film and how his best friend was killed by the plane parts falling really shows the vulnerability that Lou Diamond Phillips is portraying. The way Sam Anderson is playing Donna's father is astounding. He really makes you dislike him because he doesn't like Donna being around Richie because Richie is a musician. Or so we think, that's the reason. Seeing how Richie picks up La Bamba at a brothel when Roberto tries to get him to get laid just shows how dedicated Richie is to music, and I love it. Richie delivering his promise on getting Connie a nice house is a nice way to tie up what seemed like a throwaway line from earlier in the film. And Roberto being jealous shows that maybe he will become the son and father he needs to be. Roberto blowing up at Richie and them having their fight in the guest house, so well acted by Eastside Morales and Lou Diamond Phillips, and then to follow it up with Donna telling Richie she'd wait for him and wouldn't let anyone tell her how she feels about him is such a heartwarming scene. I love the editing of Roberto and Rosie, Bob King, Donna, and their school, and Connie finding out about Richie's death. It was actually a really incredible way to show how it affected everyone close to him, and then to end it with that forever iconic scream from Richie to show the absolute heartbreak in Roberto after he'd finally gotten his life together. Overall, I feel like it's an incredible biopic with fantastic performances from everyone involved. Now let's look at some fun facts and trivia about this. According to Lou Diamond Phillips in the VH1 documentary Behind the Music, The Day the Music Died, Richie Valens' sister was on set the day they shot the coin toss scene in which Richie wins the chance to fly on the plane with Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper. Richie's sister began to weep uncontrollably during shooting. When Phillips tried to console her, she hugged him and sobbed, "Why, Richie? Why did you get on that plane?" Plane crash at Richie Valens' school happened on January 31st, 1957. A DC-7 and F-89 jet collided and broke in midair. The DC-7 landed on the playground of Pacoima Junior High, now Pacoima Middle School, where students were outside at recess. Everyone on the DC-7 was killed. Several students were killed in the playground. 75 were injured. Valens was out of school that day attending his grandfather's funeral. The crash caused Valens' fear of flying. The band playing the traditional folk version of the song La Bamba at the club in Tijuana is Los Lobos, which performed all of Richie Valens' music for the movie. The guitar player next to the bass player is David Hidalgo, who provided Lou Diamond Phillips' singing voice. The club where Richie Valens is nervous about performing before an Anglo crowd is the Cowboy Palace in Chatsworth, California. The bar is still in business. The house that Richie Valens buys his mother in the movie is across the street from the house that Richie Valens bought from his mother in real life. And according to Tony Alsop, the one who lost the faithful coin toss, the toss occurred in the surf ballroom and not on the airfield as depicted in the movie. Before Lou Diamond Phillips auditioned for the role, his agent mistakenly told him that the movie was about Frankie Valli. Phillips didn't think he was right for the role, but went to the audition anyway. The movie was selected in 2017 for preservation in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And that wraps up my thoughts on La Bamba, a powerful blend of music, family, and the pursuit of dreams that reminds us why Richie Valens' story still resonates decades later. It's equal parts inspiring and heartbreaking, capturing the joy of his rise and the tragedy of a life cut short. This is Movies on the Brain. I'm Jason, and I'll see you next time where the music lives on.